Hi guys, and welcome back to Hilltop Farm. Today I'm going to be making a chicken and leek stroganoff. Today's recipe is actually my contribution in the home style dinner challenge. So yeah, if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit subscribe and you hit like and you watch this recipe because it's easy, but oh, your family will think you're a gourmet chef. Okay, first thing we need to do, put some butter and a good glug of olive oil. The olive oil will stop the butter from burning. Okay, now I've got that on quite a high heat to get the melting process going. With all of my recipe videos, down below where in the description I have a list of ingredients. In this bowl I have leeks. Now there's 2 leeks that have been cut not into rings, but sort of cut the leek in half or quarter it, sort of down the middle, and then slice it up. So then you end up with bits, if you like, of leek. Now pop that in. Lovely. It's a lovely thing cooking with leeks. They're always such a beautiful colour, and you get the lovely flavour of onions without it being overpowering, and that lovely colour. Okay, now a couple of pinches of ground pepper and a couple of pinches of pink Himalayan salt. Okay, give it a bit of a stir. Now the next thing I'm adding is 2 cups of white wine. Anyone who watches my videos, cooking videos normally, knows my view on this, but if you're new, I'll bring you up to speed. Don't use cheap rubbish when it comes to putting wine in food. If you do, your food will take on the flavour of the wine and you'll end up eating cheap rubbish food. Seriously, no one expects for you to go out and buy top shelf wine. That's just ridiculous. But a nice decent wine, something that you'd be happy to sit and drink by the side of a pool yourself, that's what you want. Now, and this is a white wine, and sometimes you want something that's a bit crisper. This particular recipe calls for a sweeter one, so I'm going for a Moscato. Now, I'm putting in 2 quite hefty glasses of white wine. And what I shall do, because I didn't think of it before, I shall measure how much liquid goes in these glasses, and I'll actually put the exact amount in the description below for you. Now, we've got to bring this up to the boil. While we're waiting for it to come to the boil, I might just tell you I first came across this recipe, or what I call the original version of it. It's actually a Jamie Oliver recipe, and I've adapted it to become my own, partly because that's what I like to do, and partly because I don't actually like Jamie Oliver, so don't particularly want his recipes as part of my repertoire. He's one of those chefs that cuts everything at 100 miles an hour, and he's throwing pots and pans around and flipping from one to the other. To me, that's not cooking. I don't want to run a marathon or run a sprint, whatever you want to call it, when I'm cooking. I want to enjoy the experience because I like cooking. So I hate that about any chef. But the main reason I've gone off him, he used to have a great attitude towards free range and organic and, you know, getting back to the basics and knowing where our food comes from. And then he signed a contract with a supermarket, my least favourite places in the world, and ended up with a $22 million contract with supermarket chain Sainsbury's in England. So I feel he worked for the enemy. But then he signed up, when that was over, with a supermarket chain in Canada. He signed up with Woolworths here in Australia. And now I believe he's with some other company, one of these ones that delivers to your door everything all ready made and cut up in little polythene bags and polystyrene and just what we need. More landfill. On you, Jamie Oliver. How about, you know, actually teaching people to grow their own vegetables and, you know, back to basics? I'd have a lot more respect for you then. Anyway, this has come up to heat. Gentle simmer. Now, that has to simmer for 5 minutes and then we'll come back and see what's happening. Okay, that's looking good. Now, I have about 1 kilo or just under 2 pounds of chicken fillet that I've sliced into strips. You could use chicken thigh fillets. Be just as good. So pop those in. And we'll turn up our heat because we're going to lose the heat. Okay, mix that through straight away so that it doesn't set in one solid clump. Okay. Now, this mushrooms. Now, it says for 2 generous handfuls. I think I've gone a bit crazy today, but that's alright. Mushrooms, you know, they break down to nothing. And this is one of those recipes where you know, it's not brain surgery. There's no exact science here, and this is going to turn out so wonderful, so quick and easy and wonderful. I will say though, and you'll see that at the end, it has to be served with a wedge of lemon, and once you've served it, you tell your guests to squeeze the lemon over the top and then eat it like that. If you don't have a fresh lemon to put a wedge in, don't cook it. Seriously, you will be so surprised the difference it makes to the flavour. Save it until you've got that lemon. It's well worth it. Okay. Parsley. As you can see, there's enough to make a tabbouleh here, but it needs a lot. So take, I'd say 3/4 of it perhaps. You need the rest to garnish when we're finished. So pop that in, mix it through. Cream. Cream is wonderful in these sorts of dishes. And every one of these people think you can substitute yogurt for cream. You cannot substitute yogurt for cream. Yogurt is not cream. Okay? Yogurt is something quite different and is lovely. Don't get me wrong. I love yogurt. But recipes like this where they call for cream need cream. Cream is just so rich and it, oh no, don't get me started. You cannot substitute one for the other. Okay, now we'll be back when this has come up to boil. Okay, now she's bubbling away, bubble bubble. Now obviously with all that cream in there you don't want it to burn, but what you do want it to do is quite a vigorous simmer for 10 to 15 minutes, obviously to cook everything, but also to reduce that liquid down a little. Oh, and just on a side note too, I had a message from one of my other recipes once from someone asking for a child's version of a particular recipe that didn't have the wine in it. And I tried to explain to her that when you cook with alcohol and you then heat up whatever it is after the alcohol is added, all the alcohol is burnt off. There is no alcoholic content at all. Once this is cooked, an alcoholic can safely eat this without any ill effects at all, none whatsoever. Children can have great big bowls of it. They won't get drunk or tipsy or anything. So those of you who didn't know, it's perfectly safe. The alcohol burns off and it leaves the flavour. I guess if you really wanted to, you could do a grape juice or like a sparkling grape non-alcoholic wine, I guess, if you wanted to. But seriously, I'd see no point when the alcohol's burnt off anyway. But that's up to you. We're going to be back in 10 minutes to keep going with this. Now, that's been going for between 10-15 minutes. Now, in this cup, I've got 2 tablespoons of corn flour with a little bit of water, which we're just going to use to thicken it up. Otherwise I think it's too watery. I do think that when you add these things to, you know, a rice base, that the whole lot just doesn't sink straight to the bottom, you know what I mean? Lastly, the juice of 1 lemon. This is on top of the wedge that you're going to put on at the end. And that, my friends, is pretty much it. Okay, so I'm happy with the way that is looking. So I turn off the heat. Now, to serve it, get yourself a bowl just with a bed of rice on there. Now, we want a bit of everything, making sure that, you know, there's plenty of plenty of meat and mushrooms. Now we put on a little bit of parsley for prettiness. Okay, and we tuck our wedge of lemon in and we serve it. And that, my friends, is a beautiful, beautiful meal. Very quick, very easy. If you have your own means of getting milk, you can pretty much make this from everything on the homestead too. Terribly easy, terribly easy. So, that's my contribution. Keep watching the rest of the videos in this challenge, because I'm sure everyone that's collaborated together to bring this to you is going to bring some wonderful recipes. I can't wait to see them myself. Now, as I said, if you're not subscribed to my channel, hit subscribe. Give me a like if you like this video. Share us on social media. And in the meantime, it's goodbye from Hilltop Farm. See ya!